This is the Sports Loudmouth.
631-672-3108 is the number to call. You're listening to the Sports Loudmouth. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Speedy Petey. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including the Loudmouth with me and Speedy Petey every single Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. All you have to do to tune in and check out our local listings for all our shows is go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Before we get our special guest on the show, this segment is brought to you by StubHub. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Hit the link that says StubHub, and you get a chance, ladies and gentlemen. If you're a sports fan, you want to go to a sports game, you like the Knicks, you like the Rangers, you like the Islanders, you like anybody here in New York, or if you go to Tampa, you want to go to a Buccaneers game, you want to go a Tampa Bay Lightning game. Well, all you have to do, ladies and gentlemen, or any of the concerts, you go to our link right now on our website, www.worldwidesportsradio.com, and you will get close to between 10 and 15% off on any of the tickets that you want to go to, any game that you want to go to or concert you want to go to. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, some of these games, I mean, the Yankees game right now with Kansas City, you can get tickets worth about $7 right now. $7. You can go to a Yankee and Kansas City Royals game right now at Yankee Stadium. It's cheap. But you can get percentages off that $7. So if you go on our link for $7, you get 10% off of $7. What is that? I mean, it's like $1 or something, or a little bit less than that. But hey, if you get big time tickets and you want $1,000 tickets, you get 10%. That's $100, baby. So just go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Hit our link for StubHub and get your discount. Now, ladies and gentlemen, he's been waiting, and we love him, and he does big things, and he's a big Yankee fan, and that's what I love about him. We're now talking to Team USA baseball assistant coach, Butch Chafin. Butch, what's up, buddy?
What's up, Earl? Speedy Petey.
Yes.
Oh,
Butch, obviously the playoffs are right around the corner, and the Yankees have not looked good in their bullpen.
Boys, 20 minutes ago, Earl, 20 minutes ago, I watched Juan Soto foul a ball off the top of his foot, roll around like a fish. Trainer comes out, he gets up, and then goes 2-run bomb to go ahead, and then they brought in Clay, and Clay kind of gave it up in the 7th inning here. So, and Volpe just got a hit, so we're good to go.
Yeah, we're good.
Rolling.
We'll see how long that lasts. I mean, this bullpen has been horrendous. I mean, right now, their ERA since the second half of the season is over 10. Over 10. I mean, you can't win a World Series when your ERA is over 10 right now in the second half of the season. It's a big problem right now, and this has been a problem. And I like Aaron Boone, and I stand up and I stand behind Aaron Boone as a manager for the New York Yankees. But the Yankees had the number one bullpen in baseball in the first half, and they've completely fallen off in the second half. They did the same thing last year and the year before. What is the problem?
I don't know. I think at the trade deadline, I love Cash, and Travis Chapman, the Yankees' first base coach, is one of my boys. I mean, we're tight, and he says Boone's got it together. I believe him. I trust those guys. I trust Cash. I'm like one of the few guys that trust Brian Cashman.
I do too.
I think we messed up by letting Tanner Scott go to the Padres. I think that guy could have really helped the back end of the bullpen. I feel for Clay Holmes. I really do. I think he's blown 11 of his last 27 save opportunities after going 13 of 14 in the first half. You just look at the offense, and the offense hinges around, obviously Soto and Judge. That's what they're getting paid to do. But I'm really big into OPS, and a decent OPS for a player is around 850. And, I was looking at it today, and Soto and Judge, Soto's over 1,000, 1 point whatever, and Soto, his is like 900, and then everybody else is like in the 600s. I think if I was in charge, which I'm obviously not in charge, I would explain to the boys that the whole offense revolves around getting on base so those guys can bop. And, and baseball's hard and hitting's even harder. But, we're getting locked down by Lugo and Reagan's, and it feels like the late 70s. I wish Chris Chambliss would come to the plate and do something right here, but that's not going to happen. Yeah, how you guys been?
We're good, man. I mean, I'm alive. We are still going as always. Our show is booming right now, all over Apple, over 20-something thousand downloads last month, and we're doing great on all the different media outlets that we're on. And we're happy to have you on. We know you know baseball. We know you're a Yankee fan, and the Yankee and to me, we're getting into the Yankees because everybody knows that this is a big year for the Yankees, and they might not be able to bring Juan Soto back because he's going to want $650-700 million at the end of the season. And you know who his agent is? It's Scott Boras. So he's going to be asking for big mucho dinero. And there's a team right across the pond that has the richest owner in baseball, and you know damn well that he is going to go after Juan Soto. But the Yankees have a good farm system. They have a really good left-handed bat coming up and moving up very soon. And maybe the Yankees go elsewhere, even though Juan Soto's a sensational, a top 5 player in the league. Maybe the Yankees decide, hey, we have a young player coming up. We have Dominguez. We decide to keep those guys and move on from Juan Soto. But that's why this is an important year for the New York Yankees, because they have a chance to win a World Series, something that they haven't done since 2009. And it's been the longest drought of this team's career.
I've started a GoFundMe for Juan Soto, and I expect that to start kicking in the offseason. I think they go way out of their way to keep him. I think you kind of let Verd walk, and you put the Martian in left, and you cut him loose and let him have a full season. He's playing for the minimum right now, but he's going to do special things. That's why they call him the Martian, because he can do things that are out of this world. Mm-hmm. And it's like a fire hydrant in pinstripes when he's in there. And he's part of the future. I don't like Judge in center. I don't think Judge likes center. Judge has hit that. I think over his last 14-15 games, he's hitting like 190. Somebody else has to do some lifting this time of year. I think Gill threw the ball well tonight. I really like what Verdugo said, I think yesterday. He was like, hey, if the Martian plays and it cuts into my at-bats, as long as we're winning, which that's not and no slam on him, but that's not a Verdugo kind of statement. So that was good to hear. I think the clubhouse is still together. I think they like Booney. Sometimes you can try too hard, and I think we might be seeing that. So
what about Garrett Cole? Obviously, had the injury last week, and how are they going to manage that kind of thing? There's the race with the Orioles right now, but we've also seen recently in the playoffs, like the wild card team's doing better. So the Yankees, what do you think the approach should be with him?
I think everybody's playing for the 1 or 2 seed because everybody else, they've expanded the playoffs to 6 teams. So everybody else is 2 out of 3 series. I think a 2 out of 3 series is in the Yankees' favor. And again, it's like Judge and Soto doing heavy lifting on the offense. I think, if you count on Cole too much, he's going to talk Booney into going 1 extra inning here and 1 extra inning there. That's where you run the risk of him breaking down maybe. But he's definitely the bell cow and has got to be healthy going into the playoffs.
We are talking to Team USA baseball assistant coach Bush Chafin. He's been on our show. He's done many, many great things for baseball, and he's been in the game for a very, very long time. He knows baseball. He's a Yankee fan. The Mets, your thoughts of the Mets season? Francisco Lindor has had an MVP season. I do not believe he's been better than Ohtani, as some other people believe that he has. What are your thoughts of Lindor? What are your thoughts of the Mets in the season they've had?
Listen, being a Yankee guy, I think I'm sorry, Speedy Petey. I'm supposed to hate the Mets or something like that. But Lindor was on our 2010 18U team, and absolutely love that guy. And that guy I've watched him grow up. He's a father now. He gets after it. He's one of the best players on the planet. I'll go to my grave believing that. And if anybody can take him there, Lindy can. you look at a schedule where they've got to play the Phillies 7 times, the Braves 3 times. The Braves still have the Dodgers left. They have 3 with the Mets, and they're all tied up. I think the Mets are going to take him. I think Snicker should be the manager of the year, the Braves manager, because that guy, he's doing it with like paper clips and tape because he's getting stuff out of guys that he shouldn't be able to get out. They scored 12 runs, won 12-0 yesterday, and I went and watched them in Atlanta on Saturday, and I'm still trying to figure out, how they're doing it.
They always have like these years of pitching injuries, 3 guys hurt, and then they still try to find random new guys to make it work. They've been brilliant for a while. Him and the organization has been. So I wanted to ask about the pitching injuries in particular too. With that, like we've seen a lot of young pitchers and veteran pitchers go down this year. There was a conflict of why it's happening. The pitch clock was being blamed. What are your thoughts to all that? And a lot with the younger pitching being developed in the minor leagues.
I think, the injuries and stuff like that, you can blame it on a lot of stuff, but it comes basically down to this. I think velocity is in demand, and when you try to throw it as hard as you can every time you fire a bolt, I think I heard somebody say, Jim Cott a long time ago, he said it'll rust off before it falls off. So I think if you throw upper 90s, 100 miles an hour, and you do it often, and you kind of take it easy in between that, those starts. I think that's a lot of times where the injuries. You're seeing guys throw, 90-mile-an-hour sliders. That I've never thrown a 90-mile-an-hour slider, but I've seen it, and that's just not natural. But you want a whole bunch of money. You throw an 86, 87-mile-an-hour slider and a 103-mile-an-hour fastball, you're going to get paid. So it's a risk-reward thing. If you have guys that throw high velocity, you better have a whole bunch of guys because they are going to break down. Pitching is a breakdown position. Guys will get hurt. And I've always told guys, hey, soreness from 83, 84 feels the same as 90. So cut it loose as long as it's in the zone.
Butch, I've been watching this kid play all season long, and he's been so impressive, so much energy. He's the future at the shortstop position. That's Bobby Witt Jr. I spoke about him yesterday, and I'm going to speak about him this year. Today, he has been sensational. He's been one of the best players in the league, and he plays for Kansas City, and that's why people haven't really got a chance to see him play. But when he plays in New York, right now he's playing against the New York Yankees, you're seeing one of the great young superstars in baseball. What did you see in him coming up in AAU baseball and just getting a chance to watch this kid really develop into the sensational player that he is?
Well, 2018, 2019, right before COVID, the 18U team, that was a team that went undefeated and gave up 3 runs in 8 games in the World Championships. And Junior was the shortstop, and I remember talking to Volpe, who was trying out at the same time, and I was like, hey, Anthony, you may have to slide over second. And he said, I'll play second base. That's the best shortstop on the planet. That's the best shortstop I've ever seen. And Junior is, of my 19 years with USA Baseball, at every age group. I was a cross-checker scout for Jack Leggett on that Bobby Witt Volpe team. And that is some of the best pitching talent I've ever seen, but their offense clicked. And if you had 100 big leaguers in a room and Bobby Witt was one of them, you'd ask him to go get you a drink because you think he was a waiter. He's a freak talent. He's probably the fastest, if not the fastest, the second fastest guy in baseball. He can flat float. He can hit the long ball. He can drive in runs. His glove work is phenomenal. He grew up in a baseball family. If you were building a baseball player, you'd build Bobby Witt Jr. He's a phenomenal talent. He's top 3 USA guys I've seen in my life.
Wow. That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the. I know you were coaching the 18U team. I think the last time we had you on the show. Now you're doing the 15U team. Any of the prospects that you're coaching right now that probably could come up either maybe as September call-ups if they haven't already, or even next year? Any names to watch out for?
Golly, I mean, it seems like if a kid can play, he's been on the national team. We're pretty efficient at finding guys, and I think I told you last time it's easier to play in the big leagues than be on a U.S. national team. There's 750 big leaguers on 100 national team players, and that includes the college guys and the 12U team, the 15U team, and the 15s right now. I scouted a little bit for them this summer. I was kind of bouncing around. They're in Atlanta right now playing Team Australia, and the first game that they played, Griffin McCain, who's 15 years old, he's like a 6'4" left-hander. He also plays in the outfield and can run like the wind. No-hit them. They had a combined no-hitter against Team Australia. There are some really good, unbelievably great younger players in our country. And it's hard to find them because when you're building that team, you pretty much pick the starters, you pick the utility guy, the backup catcher, and you get dominant pitching. And a lot of good players are going to be left off that national team. This summer, the 18U team, they had to qualify for the World Championships next year, and they were in Panama. And they went down there and swept it and won gold. And the MVP and the shortstop for the United States was a kid named Casey Cunningham. And Casey Cunningham finally made the team this year. And I think he had been trying to make a national team ever since he was 11 years old. Wow. And he finally made it this year, and he was the MVP of the tournament and one of the best kids. I watched that kid mature, go from a goofy kid to this kid's going to play in the big leagues type player. And, you know,
I have a lot of goofy kids working with me right now, so I know all about Goofy. I'm goofy too.
Speedy PD could go right to, you know, ESPN or something like that, MLB Network.
Well, he definitely could, and he likes his sausages. So, Butch, if you like to eat
no, that's
sausages.
the Twins. The Twins like their sausages to try to save their season.
We are talking to Team USA baseball assistant coach Butch Chafin, a friend of the show. We love him. Knows baseball as good as anybody we've had on the show. He's been around baseball for over 40 years and he's had a sensational career. A guy that really has stood out to me all season long is a pitcher named Paul Skeens. He has been unbelievable, and I've heard so many people talk about this kid. I never really knew who he was. I knew he was a top prospect. I got a chance to watch him 3 times this year, and he's unhittable. He really is an amazing pitcher. And in Pittsburgh, with these 2 young pitchers they have on their roster, could be one of the elite teams in the next 2 years. What do you know about Paul Skeens? What made you think that this kid was going to be an elite pitcher as young as he has been?
He was a tall kid. He was on the 12U national team, and he was a tall kid, and he kind of stood out, and he had not like grown into his body yet. So he comes along, and he's kind of a sleeper. And the parallel I always give is Aaron Judge, because Paul Skeens, when he was in college at Air Force, was an All-American hitter. Like, the guy can really hit. And to their credit, Air Force, he goes into the portal, and Kaz, the coach at Air Force, tells him, dude, you got to go in the portal. You won't even fit in the plane by the time you're done. So he ends up at LSU. He ends up at LSU, does amazing things there. He's got the perfect pitcher build. He's got the perfect pitcher mentality. Stuff does not bother him. He's confident. He's got a little cocky in him, and he loves throwing the ball by you, and he's really good at it. And you're right, and that's how it's supposed to work, Earl. It's supposed to be where you're really bad for so long, and your scouts and your front office does such a tremendous job with the draft that eventually you become good, you know? And that's how you can tell. You can tell if a team has a good owner, a good general manager, good people in the front office, and good scouts, because they don't stay bad forever. And, you know, I look at the White Sox, and they're 50 and a half games out. Well, they shouldn't be in last place every year for the next 10 years. The way it works is they'll get good drafts if they do a good job, and they'll move up. That's how it's supposed to work. But some teams, they just can't wrap their brain around that concept.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that because I don't think we've had you on. We had you on last year, but we didn't have you on before the lockout when they were changing all those new rules. They were trying to say, all right, they're going to reward the middle and smaller market teams with the extra draft picks. And do you think like the impact has been there in baseball in these last 2 years with the new playoff format and maybe getting more of these middle and smaller market teams together, not necessarily signing all the big players, but staying competitive the same way?
I just see they changed the playoffs how they do it. So it used to be if you won your division, you kind of sat around and waited, which baseball, you have to do baseball every day. It's a game of routine. It's a game of seeing pitching. And if you wait for a week, you almost get penalized by winning it all. You know, they want to keep playing. If you ask the big leaguer right now, everybody in the big leagues, hey, what percent is your body? Not of those 750, not one's going to go, I'm 100% right now. So like a Garrett Cole, can he go out there when he's 75% and still get people out? That's how you win championships. These guys are worn down. Believe it or not, it's not like back in the day where they go to nightclubs until 4 a.m. These guys are getting paid a whole bunch of money to hang numbers. These guys will eat dinner after this game, go back and sleep until noon and get up and do it all over again tomorrow. And Speedy Petey, I never do this, but I'm going to do this. I disagree with you. There's no such thing as a small market team. All these teams are owned by millionaires. It's just how much they want to give. Do they want to pay the luxury tax? Do they want to go over? Are they all in? And that's one of the reasons why I'm a Yankee fan. If every boss treated their employees the way the Yankees treat their employees, what a great company you would have. They lay the money out. They try to be smart with the money. They overspend when they think they need to overspend to improve their product. They hire unbelievable people. Their scouts, their front office, their coaches, their minor league coaches are top notch. In the minor leagues, the Yankees never take a day off from BP. Every other team in the big leagues, they'll go, wow, it's hot out there today. You guys are tired. The Yankees don't do that. They take BP every day. They have a uniform code they live by. They have a set of rules that they go by. It's the consistency of that. Everybody, you either love the Yankees or you hate the Yankees. There's no middle. Oh, I kind of like the. Nobody says that. Nobody says that. And, you know, when you're at the top for so long and you're doing things right, you can't tell me that all these major leaguers, the other 725, they all want to be Yankees. If you got down to the bone, they want to play for the Yankees.
There's no question. And we are talking to Team USA baseball assistant coach, our friend, Butch Chafin. Butch, these two guys are probably the two best players right now in the MLB. It's Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge. And people are comparing their seasons. I mean, Shohei Ohtani is going to have a 50-50 season. Obviously, what Aaron Judge is doing is just absolutely remarkable, hitting over 320. He's got over 50 home runs. I mean, his OPS is over 1,000. I mean, who has had the better season? If you were voting, I understand you're a Yankee fan and you're going to go Aaron Judge maybe. I don't know. Who do you think is having the better season?
It's Aaron Judge. And it's Aaron Judge because he plays a position. The breakdown there. Just think of this. Think of it like this. How many times does Aaron Judge run on the field to center field and run off the field from center field? And how many times has Ohtani done that? Now, Ohtani's a freak talent, and he does what he does really well. And the rules, they favor him. He plays in National League parks. He plays in a park where you got to hit it for it to go out. Chavez Ravine, Dodger Stadium's kind of down in the hole, and the ball doesn't carry at night. He's earned all his home runs, there's no doubt. But I no disrespect to him, but he's a DH. And Aaron Judge shows up every day, has to play a position, wear and tear on the arm. If you'll notice late in the season, right-handed hitters hit a lot of foul balls over the first base dugout, and left-handed hitters, they hit a lot of balls over the third base dugout foul. It's because their arms are hanging and they got to power that bat through. Ohtani, he had a surgically repaired arm. He's tossing, he's throwing. If I'm the Dodgers, I never let that guy pitch again. But they got a lot of money invested, and he'll jump back up on that mound, and he'll get hurt again, and they'll lose the bat and the arm.
Wow. All right, my last question for you is, besides the Yankees, if you were to make a World Series pick right now, who would it be and why?
I like the Phillies. I'll never like the Trash Throws. I'm a Yankee fan because I know the Yankees are in it with the Orioles, and there's a little part of me, I shouldn't say this, that I respect how the Orioles have done it. They've built really well from the inside out. But I think I enjoy the Red Sox being 10 games back as much as the Yankees being in it. I do think the sleeper team in the whole thing might be the Guardians. If they get it together, they play a really short game because the back end of their bullpen is on lockdown. So you only get to hit for about 7 innings. So you better get them early. The Royals will get in the playoffs. I don't think they'll make a lot of noise this year, but if they keep doing what they're doing, the fans are believing. I think the front office is believing, which means they may go out and get some guys because now they know they're for real. I think Salvador Perez only has so many more years left, and I think he wants another one. So you'd be surprised when Aaron Judge goes upstairs and talks to Hank Steinbrenner. It carries a lot of weight, probably more weight than anybody else. And it's been really cool to watch him develop in that role as the captain. I didn't think anybody could follow Derek Jeter. But then again, I didn't think anybody could follow Thurman Munson or some of the other guys. But to see Judge in the dugout putting his arm around guys, teaching them how to be Yankees, the traditionalist in me, it brings a tear to my eye. But I think in the American League, I'm hoping Houston gets put out early. I think the Twins have an outside shot at it. And I like it when teams like the Twins, they get in because nobody knows any of their players. They're all unknown guys, and that's kind of cool.
Errol will only remember the rally sausage.
Oh God! I mean,
that's what sausage.
I hope the Yankees are matched up with the Twins because the Yankees always kick the what out of the Twins. So I would love to see the Yankees. I want the Yankees to win the pennant. I want the Yankees to get that bye so they don't have to play that wild card game. But if they have to play a team and have to match up against somebody, it would be the Twins. That would be the team.
I'm pulling for the bye. To be honest, I'm pulling for the bye. I think that picking up Jazz Chisholm,
fantastic.
That was an unbelievable out of no place kind of move. I think guys that, like I said, I think secretly everybody'd like to play for the Yankees. I think some guys don't. They say they don't want to play for the Yankees, and they give an excuse, but I don't think they want the pressure of being a Yankee because, heavy is the head that wears the crown. And, I say that because every time Soto or Judge hits a home run, they do their Superman and crown, themselves. But, yeah, the Chisholm pickup and then sticking him at third base, I don't think people realize how hard stuff like that is. Like, I think of the movie Moneyball where they're trying to make him a first baseman and they go, "Hey, Wash, how hard is it to play first base?" And he goes, "It's incredibly hard." Playing left field and right field, those are two different positions because the ball cuts differently. It sinks. It comes off the bat differently. So putting Chisholm at third base, and then he made a play tonight where he dove to his right and got up and threw the guy out by like 10 feet. And I'm like, that's freakish athlete stuff.
No, he's a freak, all right. And I love his last name. I call him Chaz Chisholm or Chisholm. Speedy's favorite word. Anyways.
No. Don't listen to him.
Butch, we love you, man. We love everything about you. And obviously, if the Yankees go to the World Series, maybe we should meet at a Yankee game at Yankee Stadium. Us. Hang out with the great Chafin.
Get some of those $7 tickets you were talking about.
I don't know if it's going to be $7, buddy.
those leather seats down low are a little too rich for me.
Those what do they call those seats?
Rotunda.
The rotunda seats would probably be $700.
Yeah, yeah.
But nevertheless, we love you. Keep up the good work, and I want to get you on a lot sooner than later. I mean, the last time we had you on was what was it, like 4 or 5 months ago?
It was. I actually remember the day exactly. It was the day that Yamamoto signed with the Dodgers in December because we were talking about Yamamoto on the show, and then he signed like 2 hours later.
It's been a long time. I want to get you on a lot sooner. You're always great, and you give us such good insight of some of these young players and these up-and-coming superstars, and who knows them better than you, who has worked with them. So we really appreciate all the time, as always, Butch.
Guys, I tell you, you're in New York, and my father was an absolute. He was a warrior. Joined the Navy when he was 16. He was at the beach at Normandy the night before. 83 guys killed, 3 make it out, and my dad was one of them. So to talk to you on September 11th, on the 23rd anniversary of the attack on, your great city and your great area, it's really, really special to me. And I appreciate you guys. I love the city. I love the people in the city. And I can't thank you enough. And I'd love to come back whenever you'd have me.
Well, we would have you every single day if you would have us. And if you want Speedy, we can give you him if you want him. I'll mail him to you.
I've got an extra bedroom, Speedy.
But I'll be honest, I was not a very good little league player, so
I
don't know how much it would work for those teams.
I will say this: if there's anybody that knows the analytics and knows the game, it's him. So if you had him on your bench, man, and you asked him what this analytic, he would study the analytics and he'd have it in his mind. He wouldn't even have to write it down. He's that kind of person. So
I believe it. We had a guy real quick. We had a guy. USA Baseball, our old analytics guy, he kind of started the program. His name was Jake Barnes, and he got married and moved to England and had to leave USA Baseball. But this guy, he taught me all about the numbers, and I was old school. And I'd see it with my eyes, and he'd sit behind me with his computer, and he'd tell me what I was seeing. And what I found out was all the analytics and the data just made me look better because it was backing up what my eyes were seeing. And there's always a place for that guy, Speedy.
See, there you go. You should be talking to Butch. Butch knows he can. The one thing I could say about him is his understanding of analytics and memorizing it and remembering it and not forgetting it. He doesn't have to look at a computer. You can point out a guy, if you give him something to read and stuff like that, or have it in his head, he will memorize it and remember it 10 years from now. And go back and speak about it.
But as much as we like to bash the Astros for cheating, we have to give them credit in this regard. They started the whole thing. I don't know if you read the Sports Illustrated article with the nerd cave they were starting, and then like the Cardinals did, and then now everyone else is doing it. So
there's I can't remember what it's called. There's like a 5-part, 7-hour podcast, and I listened to the whole thing. The guy that wrote the article went back and exposed how they did it and talked about it and interviewed everybody, and it was pretty good. It was pretty good stuff.
Not as good as you, my friend. We really appreciate the time, and we will talk to you soon, my friend.
I appreciate it so much.
Butch Chafin. I will say this. If there's anybody that knows baseball, we've had a lot of good ex-baseball players, even baseball players in the majors on this show, even coaches and assistant coaches and managers. This guy has been around the U team forever. I'm speaking about like 30, 40 years. He's seen every single great superstar from Team USA Baseball, from all the different, from the Dominican Republic to Puerto Rico. If there's anybody that knows baseball, it's Butch. So, and that's what I love about it, because we can mention a player and he can tell you because he's been around him and he knows his personality, he knows what he can do on the field. He knows the type of player that he is. So it's an amazing thing when you get these kind of guys on the show, and they can give you the insight of what these guys could be or already are. I like Paul Skeen, who is unbelievable. I mean,
Paul Skeen, Aaron Judge comparison. That was good.
That is. And you want to know what's so impressive about watching that kid? I've watched him pitch 3 times this year, and all 3 times he was just dominant. And I seen him play against top teams. Cleveland, one of the best teams right now in the American League. I seen him pitch. Who was the other? I think it was against the Philadelphia Phillies too. Completely dominate the Phillies in that lineup.
I think they lost 1-0 in that game too. I remember.
Yeah, he completely dominated that lineup. He could. I think he struck out 9, and it looked so easy to him. So
at one point this season, he had a strikeout rate that was the highest.
Didn't he start for the National League?
Yeah. That's how much of a phenom it was. Like it was like he was the first rookie pitcher to start in a while. He had a strikeout rate for a rookie pitcher that broke the record that Steven Strasburg had for a while. And like that was a 13-year-old record he broke.
It's ridiculous. I told you, Butch, his statistics. He knows. He knows. It's unbelievable. It really is. And I didn't know much about him until everybody was telling me this guy's a phenom. This guy's a phenom. And then I had a chance to watch him, and I'm like, stop. Everybody's a phenom. And I watched this guy. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? He's so big. I mean, could you imagine seeing that guy stand on the mound, 6'6", and on a mound, he's like 6'8", 6'9". I mean, that's scary. Randy Johnson-esque. When you watch Randy Johnson, I don't know if anybody's seen Randy Johnson, how long he is. He's like 6'10". So it was like watching a guy pitch at like 7'1", 7'2", and throw a ball over 100 miles per hour. I mean, has anybody seen the video when and I watched the game when he threw the ball and it hit the dove or whatever the hell he hit, and it like broke out like I don't even think the dove existed. It was just feathers.
It just exploded into all the feathers all at once.
I remember that.
Now he's doing he's doing photography or something like that.
Yes.
So is Ken Griffey. After the bird.
So is Ken Griffey.
He named it after like Bird Productions or something.
Ken Griffey Jr. actually is working in the NFL right now.
Oh, really?
Yes. In the NFL, he's doing pictures and photography for the NFL, and it's pretty amazing. Ken Griffey has become a really, really good photographer, a sports photographer too. So I've seen some of his stuff and some of his work. It's unbelievable. So guys that step away from baseball, some of the greats, and they find their niche, their go-to after their careers. And Ken Griffey Jr. is now a photographer in sports. It's pretty amazing. So Butch Chafin, a fantastic interview as always, and he knows his baseball. Carmelo Anthony said on a web series that he would average 28 points per game if he played on this year's New York Knicks team. He added that he would be able to play at a fast pace of a modern NBA and have good chemistry with Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle. He added he would be much more efficient in the modern day NBA and a master of the Knicks offense the way it is built under Tom Thibodeau. He mentioned his peak years with the Knicks in 2012 and through 2014, where he was averaging 26.5 points per game, 7.2 rebounds per game. Only Jalen Brunson averaged more as a Knick, especially last year. Brunson averaged 28.7 points per game last year, and Melo averaged 28.7 points per game in 2012 to 2013 season. And they are tied for the third best in New York Knicks history. First of all, Carmelo Anthony is on drugs. I don't know what kind of drugs he's on. He's absolutely out of his mind. Carmelo Anthony is a washed-up basketball player. I know he thinks he can play. I know he thinks he can average 28 points per game. The only way Carmelo Anthony averages 28 points per game is if he shoots 35, 40 times a game. There is no way he would be efficient in this offense. And he wouldn't even be able to touch the ball because he's got Julius Randle, who demands the ball, and Jalen Brunson, who's the number one man. And now with Mikal Bridges and all the weapons that they have now, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know where he thinks that he would fit on this roster. It doesn't make sense. Now, was Carmelo Anthony a great offensive player? He was. He was an isolated player. He really, really defined the word isolation because when he touched the ball, everybody moved out of the goddamn way. Okay, it doesn't work on this New York Knicks team. The Knicks, when they're playing at an efficient pace and at an efficient game. They're moving the ball around the perimeter. They're using the perimeter and their passing methods that Tom Thibodeau likes to use and he loves to get the ball inside to Jalen Brunson where he can go to the hole and draw fouls or open up the court where he can pass it out to the perimeter where they can get open jump shots. It doesn't make sense. Carmelo Anthony demands the ball. He hogs the ball. He wouldn't fit in this offense. Julius Randle doesn't fit in this offense. And Julius Randle defines the logic. He's a worser, that's not the word. He's a worse player when it comes to isolating and demanding the ball than Carmelo Anthony was. Now, Julius Randle is not Carmelo Anthony, nor will he ever be. But Julius Randle is a poor man's Carmelo Anthony, okay? That's what he is. So for him to say that he would be efficient playing with Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle, it doesn't make sense. It wouldn't work. Just like going to Phoenix right now, when you look at Durant and Beal and Booker, it doesn't work. It won't work. I said it when that happened, when they decided to move and bring in Bradley Beal. It's not going to work. So it defines the logic of bringing this up and even talking about it. He was on his web series or whatever web series. He could be on Micah Parsons' web series, which is sometimes I wonder if Micah Parsons on drugs on some of the things that he says.
Yeah, it's its own web series, like Brooklyn 7.
I know, I watch
like
it. I watch it. It's funny, but it's he's out of his mind. He doesn't make any sense. Carmelo Anthony is a shell of what he was as a player. He was a shell of what he was as a player 5 years after he should have retired. Okay. He shouldn't have played with the LA Lakers. He shouldn't have moved forward after the New York Knicks. He should have just retired. That would have been, he would have been better off. Now, his son could be a better NBA player than Bronny James. There's no question that good. I've watched his son play. He actually has somewhat talent. I'm not saying Bronny James can't be a good player. I don't think he's got the talent of LeBron James' son. I mean, Carmelo Anthony's son. What I can say is when you look at this New York Knicks team, it wouldn't work with Tom Thibodeau because we've seen over the years and the different coaches that they brought in to coach Carmelo Anthony, it didn't work. As a matter of fact, if you don't remember when, a guy named Jeremy Lin, just became a star right in front of our eyes in 24 hours, Carmelo Anthony was bitching and moaning to the organization that he wasn't touching the ball, he wasn't seeing the ball, and he wasn't the number one option anymore. For 2 weeks, it became Jeremy Lin's team, and Carmelo Anthony was the guy that ran Jeremy Lin out. Yes, Carmelo Anthony ran Jeremy Lin out. And as far as Porzingis and giving all the props to Carmelo Anthony on his growth as a player, Carmelo Anthony was not happy that Porzingis was drafted and he became a star right in front of our eyes. He was actually pissed off that Porzingis became that optional player that was taking the spotlight off of him.
Yeah, quickly before we get to Let's Parlay, because he is in now Reno Johnny. I just want to mention there are only 10 players last year that averaged over 26 points a game last year. And there were only 4 players, including Brunson, that averaged over 28. So the fact that Carmelo Anthony thinks he could do it like past his prime after he dealt with all the stuff that he was dealing with the Knicks, that's a bit much.
Maybe he had some drugs in his Cheerios. I mean, he's hanging out with Kevin Garnett and sharing Cheerios together. As we all know, they were sharing wives together. I'm just kidding. I don't want to spread any rumors, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to get myself into trouble. Carmelo Anthony might cut my head off, or he might score 28 on me.
I wouldn't rule out, but not on the Knicks in the current NBA. Maybe he could score 28 on the Nets.
Well, he's out of his mind. Carmelo Anthony is. I have no idea where he was trying to go with that take. He's lost. He's absolutely lost when it comes to believing that he can compete or even be a part of this roster and score 28 points with Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle on the same roster. I mean, you have Mikal Bridges on this roster. You have they have all these OG Anunoby. I mean, how does that work? How would that work? It wouldn't. He wouldn't even average 9 points on this roster. Nope. I'm speaking of, even if he shot 35 times, which he wouldn't, because there's nobody that would give him 35 shots.
Correct.
But even if he did, I don't think he scores 28 points a game. So just my opinion. Anyways, it's a terrible take by Carmelo Anthony. We love you, Carmelo. But, whatever you're sniffing or smoking or drinking, keep doing it, buddy. Keep doing it. And if you have any extra, bring it home to daddy.